You're listening to Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast. Two friends since first grade, now dads reliving the Disney movies we grew up on with our own kids. I'm JB Wagner.
And I'm Eddie Ferguson. And on today's episode, we take to the ice one last time to review D3, The Mighty Ducks. But first, JB, how are you and the family?
We are recovering from a very busy weekend. Not that there was like a ton of things we were doing. It was just one thing we were doing. And that was house hunting.
Yay!
We've only done it a couple times. And each time we've realized we should not take the kids with us. This is just a bad idea. So we went and saw a place on Friday night, and I believe, did we have the kids? No, we dropped the kids off at Meme's house until she took them then, and we were able to like fully immerse ourselves in the house. Left the house feeling like, oh man, I think this feels pretty good. Like I think maybe, but then of course on the way home, I run over something and I have to like pull it out from underneath my car. And then I have to jack it up to see if there's anything else going. There was all kinds of things happening. It's an omen, yes. So Sunday we decided to go visit another house because we don't know if we like the first house.
Sure.
And then we decided let's go back and see the house one more time, but we got to take Meme to see the house too, the first house, with all the kids there and everything. And then my daughter decided she just was not going to nap whatsoever the entire time. It was just, it was a lot. It was a lot of emotions running high, running low, running all over the place. And we just found ourselves last night with my daughter, who was loopy from not taking a nap all day at 2 years old. And I'm just literally watching them do the craziest things, climbing up onto tables, climbing onto other things, running into each other, running into the ground. And I'm just literally going, I don't have the energy to get up and stop you again. I'm just going to have to wait until you hurt yourself. Not if she went too far, it would like, I would jump up it, but I was like, every last thing was, you're going to have to learn somehow that this is not a great idea to jump off the couch in this manner and stuff like that. So we found ourselves just like, we only have 2 kids, but I felt like this must be what it's like to have 3 kids. To where you just don't have control anymore. You've been outnumbered. That's how I felt, but I was emotionally outnumbered. So that is how I'm doing today.
We are about to be outnumbered, and we keep having those conversations of like when those moments happen, right? With 2 kids, you look at your spouse and you go, where's the third gonna go? Like, what? How are we gonna do this? Because you have to move from man on man to zone defense.
Sports reference.
And coming from yours truly. And
I keep telling my wife, I've got 2 arms for 2 children, but she keeps saying, but then I can hold the other one. I was just like, oh, no. This isn't how this works.
Because there is that, because there are moments where you just got to swoop them all up. So
you just got to grab them and go. Yep. All the time, especially when they're both crying. We keep on saying you both can't be crying at the same time. This isn't allowed. You're not both allowed to be crying right now.
Yeah. So here's the question on everybody's mind. Did we go after Friday night house or did we go after Sunday afternoon house? We
have currently put in an offer on Friday nights / revisited house Sunday.
Okay,
that's what we passed on Sunday afternoon house so that we could go back after that. So we will see if that's why occasionally I might be looking at my phone or just over across at my iMessages app. If although granted, we will be interrupted if by my wife. If we ended up getting it, we might have to just pause and go to intermission or whatever.
That's fine. So, that's totally acceptable.
Live on podcast.
Here's my hope. Here's my prediction. You got all of the bad luck out of the way by running over something and having to do that.
I exorcised the demons.
You exorcised the
my
bad
child
luck
demons last night.
And and it's gonna happen. It's gonna come through.
Okay. I'm believing into that.
I have no prophetic abilities. I've
been sold a lie.
I'm just really good at making up stuff. So, well, good for you guys. Hopefully you get interrupted. That'd be fun.
That would be fun. You would get to witness it right here on Honey. We bought a home.
For a second, I thought, did you forget the name? Oh, no. Yeah.
Changed it
I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. Oh, my goodness. What Disney news do we have to share with folks this week?
I don't know. It just says theater versus streaming. What
well,
is
you're the one who sent all the messages to me.
Theater versus streaming. So Eddie, that's the type of day that I've had. I just don't even.
Just so all of you know, JB, in his abundance of free time, which he doesn't have, has been tracking closely the Disney lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson. And anytime there's a development, sends me the news.
But that's not even why I sent you this. It was the very, very last little piece of the article that jumped out to me because I've been very interested in which movies come to theaters, which ones come to Disney Plus Premium Access. And it looks like they are about to change their model up a little bit again. It looks like they are about to, for Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, the next big Marvel film, they are going to do a 45-day, not a 90-day, but a 45-day exclusive to theater release, which kind of tells me that maybe they either they didn't make as much money as they were hoping to from the whole premium access, or they have ticked off enough big people like AKA Scarlett Johansson that they have to start showing some more goodwill to their A-list actors because
and I think it's that. I think so for those of you who aren't familiar, Scarlett Johansson sued Disney because her contract with them, part of her earnings wasn't an upfront salary. It was a cut of the box office, which is super common. Like big names like that, especially when it's a tentpole movie and they're the one carrying it. That's a part of their contract. They don't get paid as much upfront.
They're still getting paid really well.
Like $10 million or whatever. But then they get a percentage of the box office cut. When Disney changed its format and released simultaneously on Disney Plus with the Premier Access, she did not get a cut of that. And apparently, according to the lawsuit, she tried to negotiate when they were saying they were going to make this change. She asked that her contract be reopened and that they consider adjusting it accordingly. Disney just flat out ignored her, went ahead, did the release they wanted to. So she went and she sued. And what I've read, mostly what JB has sent me, because he's really following this super closely and super concerned that Scarlett Johansson's not getting the money she deserves.
ScarJo.
She, I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, apparently Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, has hated the idea of movies being released simultaneously on theater. And he's gone on record a couple of times. Like a lot of people have said like he is very much against this. And it went all the way to like the Disney CEO who just trumped everybody and said, no, this is how we're going to do this. And it's coming back to bite him in the butt because even like the Disney board and the previous CEO who developed all of these talent relationships is coming out going, yeah, you didn't do that right. You're not doing right by her and all of that. But unfortunately, in the midst of this, we've also they dropped the contract they had with Scarlett Johansson to develop a Tower of Terror movie. So earlier this year, they entered into a contract where she was going to produce and star in maybe a Tower of Terror movie. Kind of, they just did the Jungle Cruise with The Rock. They're turning attractions into movies. this was going to be one. And as a result of her suing them, they've cut that contract.
Wow.
Which is sad. I was looking forward to that. I thought, oh, this would be a fun movie.
That was not on my radar.
Yeah. So it makes sense that now after all of this, and I mean, she's a big name, that they're going back through and they're adjusting the Shang-Chi release, which they got in trouble for that too. I don't know if you saw this. When Disney announced that they were making the adjustment, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like, oh, that PR person just got fired.
Oh.
Because they're like, we're going to use Shang-Chi as an experiment. We're going to experiment with this film to understand like something with experiment language. And then all the stars of Shang-Chi take to Twitter and they're like, we are not an experiment. Like, this is the first Asian American superhero. Like,
Marvel
we should,
movie,
yeah. And yeah, so I saw that even this morning that Twitter war was still waging. And I'm like, oh, Disney, what are you doing? Like, you have so much going for you and you keep stepping in it.
Yeah, I don't know why they thought that was a great idea. And it definitely seemed kind of a last minute thing like, oh, well, Warner Brothers is doing it, so I guess we'll do it too. And that just not working. People aren't putting up with it.
Yeah, I've been listening. Cinema Blend podcast is a fun kind of movie industry guys. And apparently this is like a hotly debated thing right now because most of the theater brands are now refusing to run movies if they're streamed simultaneously. So theaters are having to go back in and renegotiate a lot of pre-existing contracts because theaters are just like, no, if you're going to do that, it's not worth us putting all this up front and doing this when, very few people are coming out.
Interesting. Well, we will keep you abreast of the situation as it unfolds.
JB's hot on the case.
Hot on the case. The other case we are hot on is finishing up this trilogy today. The Mighty Ducks trilogy comes to a conclusion. Kind of, because then they've re-brought it out as a TV show, but the original trilogy.
And we've already reviewed that. So if you have not seen, listened or seen that episode, where
Mighty Ducks Game Changers, season 1, because I think there's season 2 coming.
There is. There is.
But we are getting back to Emilio Estevez in his prime. Although primed up in the totality of this film. He's just in a few scenes, but
yeah, we'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Okay, so today what we are talking about is D3, The Mighty Ducks.
Cue the Disney sound effect.
Okay. IMDb description for D3, The Mighty Ducks is this. The unruly team of hockey misfits grows up a bit. Let me rephrase that. Grows up a bit and receives scholarships to a prestigious prep school where they take on the snotty varsity team. You just don't need the word snotty in an IMDb description. That's not the place for it. I'm sorry. Snotty, the bully, and maybe bully probably should have been the word.
Grows up a bit.
Wow. This one was that was hard. I mean, it kind of gets you the things, but they could have done some better. I thought about this earlier that I think end of last week. What if we rewrote our own ones and see how close it came to it? There should have been something like the Ducks ride for the last time at a. I like the idea of can they show the varsity prep school who the real team is or something like this is just bad. This I'm a little disappointed.
The Mighty Ducks show pretentious prep school true Minnesota hockey spirit.
There we go. That would have been better.
Yeah.
Did that prep school look anything like it was in Minnesota?
No.
No, not at all, right? Okay.
So thank you for bringing this up. This is a point.
There.
Let's start there. Because I wanted to talk about this. Minnesota is in the northern part of the United States of America, in what is considered the Northwest Midwest, the North Midwest region. If you're unfamiliar, it borders Canada. That's how north it is. If you are unfamiliar with the map, so in other words, it gets really cold. This is why hockey is really popular there, because hockey is not a summer sport, not a fall. It is a winter sport. Now, it's played across multiple seasons professionally. I understand that. But primarily, it is thought of as a winter sport, right?
Yep.
Which Olympic Games do they play hockey in, JB? Is it the summer or is it the winter?
I think I'm going to go with the winter.
Winter Games, right? Why does this movie, and really
all three,
the first one you meet them out on the ice. It's got a little bit, but this one, it's like all summer.
Yep.
And like all the scenes are like them out and about. It's just I don't know.
Eddie, it's easier to film in Southern California when you're trying to make it look like Minnesota if it's a summer theme.
Right. Yeah, I wonder how many like prep schools in Minnesota have like a sprawling outdoor campus like that. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's hunkered down. Yeah.
So this did not sit well with you. That you were a little ticked off.
I moved past it. I'm making a mountain out of a anthill.
Well, if we're gonna stay here at the outdoors, I think we got to talk about that. The opening. Sorry, we'll go back to I was about to break into the montage, but we'll come back to that. The whole skating backwards sequence.
See, I liked it.
That was fun.
I thought this was probably the strongest opening of any of the three Mighty Ducks.
Are you also including the flashback montage to start the whole thing and give you all of the nostalgia you'd felt for the two previous films that were 2 years and 4 years and before?
Yeah, right. No, I am not including that.
You're just like, no, just the actual. We're finally into the story and we're out of the montage.
Yeah, it does start weird. Let's just begin with the weird use of computer generated hockey pucks sliding through
that did not
on
age
ice.
well.
No, that didn't age well at all. And then you got the weird voiceover from Emilio Estevez. And all of a sudden it was just tons of exposition in a faceless voice, right?
Yep.
And so that was a little odd. But the moment where they're all coming together and skating to the first day of school, I thought that was
great.
So much fun. It was great. Goldberg skating backwards and Charlie trying to save him.
Yep.
So good. Funny things. And of course, yeah, like you said, the grand entrance into Eden Hall. Like, there we go. That's what a Ducks movie should be all about.
That was a good name for the school, Eden Hall. That sounds like a pretentious
school. Yeah. So it was I liked that opening. Now, to your point though, they really milked the odd nostalgia montage, and no worse of a moment. I'm going to jump straight to the end, and you know where I'm going with this, where it's like, oh, we've got a nice closure on this story. And then, oh, wait, now we're seeing the films of Coach Bombay and Charlie, fist pump in the air.
The ending fist bump where they lock and it just like sparkles.
It shoots fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one, that's force enough. What? There's fireworks shooting out of their fists?
Of course there is. Why would there not be fireworks coming out?
But why did we need that?
We 100% needed that.
No, we didn't. It is like they got to the end of the movie and somebody went, you know what? If you hadn't seen any of the other movies, you'd have no idea that this was a part of a trilogy. doesn't connect her at all. You know what we ought to do? Let's just shoehorn in a little, moment from the previous movie. Okay. It didn't. I just didn't.
Didn't land for you.
Didn't land at all.
While we're here talking about nostalgia, Hans is back. He's back from Germany.
Yeah.
He was back. I didn't know if he had died after the previous film, so I was glad to see him back. I forgot that I kind of remembered he was back.
Yeah.
They definitely took what they learned from the previous film. Like, okay, we gotta make sure we hold on to nostalgia, even if he can't be in there the entire time because we can't afford him. Let's try and get Emilio Estevez into a few key scenes.
So, let's just go right there right now.
I'm just setting up all the potholes for you, just right up front, so we can.
And don't get me wrong, we will get to it here in a moment. I love this movie. Like it's not my favorite Ducks movie, but it gives me everything I want in a Ducks movie. Why does he get top billing?
Because he's the only named person in this entire series.
And he's only in this for
5 scenes.
A little bit at the opening.
He actually is in it more than I remember.
This is true. I will give you that.
Because he's got he's there with the president. Then he's there with him and Charlie. The board, hey, no, your coach is better than you thought. That he's a better person than you thought he was. And then he's there at the end. So he's actually in about 5 or 6 scenes. And
they're crucial. They're crucial story beats.
You can't lift any one of those out of there. No. The handoff, all of the things.
And when they're in the boardroom and he's like being a lawyer again, fighting for the Ducks' scholarship, that's a great scene, right? Like that's a Bombay
Your
Ducks
Honor.
classic moment. Yeah. It just felt odd to me. I'm like, why is he getting top billing? And I don't know. Yeah. And Charlie carries this movie a lot too. You see a lot of Joshua Jackson, and more so than the others.
This is a very different position for him because he's obviously been in previous films where he's been the kid that like didn't want to do something that everybody else wanted to do, the coach wanted him to do. But it always came from a place of like a good place of I'm sticking up for my friends, or you don't really care about us kind of a thing. Right. This felt a lot more bratty, a lot more, we know what we're doing. Don't tell us what to do. I'm bucking up against you because you're an adult figure. There was definitely some moments where I was like, come on, dude. Like, just get...
You know what this felt like?
What?
Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Kind of. No one else gets me. I'm the only one over here.
Teenage angst.
Even Fulton goes out on me. Like there is. You know what? Actually, maybe I'll give you that. Because now they are full on teenagers in high school. I'll give you that.
Are they believable as high school freshmen though?
Portman definitely is not believable as a high school freshman. The least of all of them. No.
Maybe in D2, I could have believed that they were freshmen. And it's like, okay, the varsity, they look like grown men. That maybe college varsity.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
I don't think they really tried to make it believable. I think they were just like, okay, we'll get the next people in. Oh, the varsity needs to be bigger, so we'll just get 35-year-old men to play.
Casting. Find us some older men.
We need some older people in here. How did you enjoy the pranks in this?
There we go. I think that's what elevates this movie.
It does, right?
You kind of have the, D1, you get just kind of the antics of a team. And then in D2, they do a little prank, little antics, little good. I don't think you could keep up the antics for like a third film. So for this one, I love that it's just the escalating pranks growing and growing throughout the whole film. That really makes this movie fun to me.
And they came at like perfect moments too, where you needed a little bit of levity because there were some serious moments. And they always kind of kept you a little bit like, whoa, they're going to really one up each other even more. No, don't worry.
You look off screen and I'm going to be like, ooh.
No, if I was doing that, I would have been like, no, it escalates with the ants.
I'm the extrovert.
And I'm the extrovert. It ends with a good one too, with all of the ants that was just a great, like, really intricate kind of a thing. You've also got him roping the one dude. You a straight calf. It'd be more fun if you ran. Like, it ended in a good place. I felt like the natural arc of those pranks it's not an arc. It's just like an escalation. I think you even said that. It went from a very simple place of like stuff thrown in the shower and it grew.
Well, it starts with horse turd brownies.
That's right, horse turd brownies.
Yeah, and then grows from there. I remember this was watching this, reminiscing back as a kid, watching this for the first time. When they freeze their clothes with liquid nitrogen, I had never heard of or known of liquid nitrogen.
This is how you learn. This is how you learn science.
And I was like, that exists? What? You know, it's shattering into a million shards. I'd love to know how they filmed that. Like, is that really liquid nitrogen that they did? Or because it breaks so
perfectly,
beautifully, like porcelain, you know?
Did you ask your dad for some liquid nitrogen for your birthday that year?
No, it wasn't. I remember it wasn't too, I don't know if we did that at school or something, like playing with liquid nitrogen. It's pretty amazing.
I never have.
Let's get some.
Okay, we are ending this podcast early so we can go play with that.
I'll be there in 5 hours.
Yep. So Coach Orion, I remember having very visceral reactions when I was younger to him. I caught some new things in this time. Some of his speeches, he's not talking about hockey, and he's talking about being a man, being a person. He goes into life mode. I was like, this is a good coach. Even though I'm kind of mad at him right now, like, this is a good coach. And when he stands up for his team and they're like outside the bus, like, there were some good moments in there when he's teaching them about defense. This is by far the ending game. The fact that the score is 1-0 was still super dramatic.
Yes,
still so dramatic because
tons of shots on goal,
tons of shots, and none of them made it. The thing I actually didn't they didn't play up very much until kind of later into that game was the fact that they didn't really draw attention to the fact they were making Goldberg a defender.
Yeah.
While
he's in a new role.
And they didn't really hit on that till the very end. They're like, our secret weapon. I'm like, he's been there the entire time, but you should have played that up like Goldberg. Like, sit down, Goldberg. I need you to play defense, not goalie, and have that whole, are you sure, coach? Are you sure? Like, they did when he turns.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. When they turn to him, even though I've seen this and even then I knew, oh yeah, he makes the big shot at the end. They're going to give him that moment. But I was like, did I forget when he makes him defense? Like, I don't remember.
There isn't a moment when it's like, where we need you to play defense.
Cut. It had to have been cut.
Or forgot. Maybe they just, like, all of a sudden we're in there like, oh, well, he's already here. I guess
we're not refilming.
Yeah, exactly. And when he's like a third Bash brother there for a second, helping with
which is great. Like, Goldberg's always been like one of the favorite characters of the whole series.
Yep.
So to give him that moment to shine, there was a moment in that game that I remember as a kid thinking this, and then again watching it, I'm going, yeah, but what about when he flips the one guy up into the stands and he crashes through the glass, which shatters as if it is glass, even though it's plexiglass. He skates first into the stands.
Are you worried about the fans right there?
Yes, I'm very much concerned. I'm like, wait a second. You need to pan over to the side and see the person with like a skate sticking out their head going, I'm all right. It's okay.
Here's a free popcorn.
It's like, do I have something sticking out of my head here?
It's obvious.
Like, don't pull it out.
Yep. So kind of back on Charlie a little bit. I know we're jumping all over the place on here. The last film, he never
do that.
Yeah, the last film, he like took himself out of the game to just coach.
Yeah, to give somebody else
give someone else a chance. I think that was. It's not quite to the level of Luke Skywalker being whatever he was in the newest trilogy, where he's almost nothing like the previous one.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're going big level there.
So it's not that level, but it felt like he took a weird step from like Coach Charlie. So he had that moment where the guy's like, come on, man, stay engaged. He's like, okay, let me see your knees. And he has like one moment, but we lost that version of him between D2 and D3 that I was just a little bit sad
you know
about.
what happened?
Puberty.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Women.
Hormones.
Another random.
Boys, weird things are going to start happening to your body.
In their first game as the JV team, freshman team or whatever, we got to talk about the fact that they let another team score 9 goals in one quarter. In the third quarter, 9 goals. That's not possible. Because they were up 9-0, and then they let the other team come back and score 9 straight goals. It looked like they forgot how to play any sport whatsoever, and they just here you go. That was like, no.
Do you watch a lot of hockey in real life?
No, but I used to play video games with Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey.
Well, I'm curious of like, I didn't think hockey was a high scoring game.
I don't think it is. I think it's more than soccer. It's usually more than soccer, but it is not I mean, scoring 3 goals in the game is still really good.
Yeah.
Let alone nine goals in one quarter versus a team that had already scored 9 goals. Right. That was where I was like, you guys didn't need to do that. That was a little bit much. It was like, you could have done like a 3-goal, 4-goal, but 9 goals in one. That was just crazy to me. I was like, no, I'm not believing this. Not at all.
I'll tell you probably one of my favorite parts about this movie. The unsung heroes of the whole film that really elevate this film to a level above all the others. And that's the pep band for the hockey team.
Oh yeah.
Having a pep band at a any sporting event, but hockey just makes it, just sells it.
To take it back to high school, the good old days.
Oh yeah. Where I'm like, that's where I want to be.
That was your favorite part of the Indiana Pacer games that we would go to.
That's so true.
You just wanted to go to, and you're like, are we going to sit next to the cheer section?
Corps?
Are we in the drum corps?
The drum corps.
Can I see the drum corps?
No, yes. I played in pep band all through high school. Still love. There's something about a good just kind of driving beat pep band that's just fun. Just fun. Now, the problem with that pep band in this movie, they seem to only know one song. Did you pick up on that? I'm like, is that the only one that they got licensed?
That's the only one that they had.
And while we're on the music of Mighty Ducks, if I can just put this out there, I want the soundtrack. Can somebody please release the rights to the soundtrack? Oh,
they don't have an album on Spotify or anything like that?
I can't find it.
Or are you an Apple Music person?
I am an Apple Music person. I'm an Apple One subscriber. Like,
you get the workout videos and stuff like that.
Well, I don't have an Apple Watch. That's where they get you. Is you can't use Fitness Plus unless you got the watch.
Do you need an Apple Watch?
No,
I think you do.
I do not need.
If you got
Apple
one,
Watch.
Would you immediately sell it or would you keep it?
This is a wonderful tangent. What we've actually talked about is maybe getting like one of the super duper cheap or like used ones just so that we can use the workout videos because we're like, oh, that would be helpful. But I don't want constant connection. Like,
Okay.
I come home, I put my phone in a box,
Good
and
for
I
you.
just try and be present with my family. I don't need like this constant thing telling me like, oh, people are trying to get a hold of you. Like, I spend all day communicating with people. There is a little bit at the end of the day where I'm like, I just need to disconnect. So I don't know what value an Apple Watch adds to my life.
The best present is being present.
Aww. And that's why Coach Bombay came back for Charlie.
A couple other things that I'm thinking of as I've got my list right here of random comments. Something I didn't realize or notice the first time I watched this was the social justice movement for the petition from the young girl up at the front, where petitioning for the Warriors team name, and he makes the case, but what about the Braves and the Seminoles?
Rattles off all the
names, which I don't know how many of those are still named that. In fact, the Braves just came out and they renamed their team.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So the Braves, the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians are now the Guardians. There's a connection to the city of Cleveland. They've got these like giant guardians of the interstate or something like that. You should look it up. It was clever of them to try to get as much of their original name in there. So Indians, Guardians, so they don't have to change all of the monikers and stuff like that. But it's a pretty cool image. You should look it up.
I see what they're doing there. Yeah, I'm just waiting until they try and change our state's name.
Indiana. I don't know if they would go to that level.
The land of Indians. That's what it means. That's what it's named after.
Seriously? It's actually interesting that no one has brought that up, but that one went straight over my head. First time we watched that back when I was a kid. Actually, all the times that I watched it when I was a kid. Yeah, that was, I think. Oh, and then the street hockey. Did you notice the moment they go to street hockey, they took the camera and they just basically put it on its side, all of those crazy angles? Because if you're gonna be out in the
it's like 90s edge.
Oh, that's what it is.
And in the first two movies, the street hockey scenes, you got like 90s hip hop.
Yep.
And this one, you got 90s grunge.
Yes.
Did you hear that? It's like, oh yeah, we're in the late 90s now. We got to use grunge.
Any other comments for us before we finish up this episode, Eddie?
I loved listening to some of the teachers and their explanation of their subjects. And it definitely brought back some memories of some of our, shall we say, eccentric
Rose
teachers who, maybe kept and stuffed Kleenexes up their sleeve and would pull them out dramatically.
Who did that? Rose Rust?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just remember as a kid be like, how many does she have up in there? And she just pull it out.
When you notice when they're having their day at the park at the Mall of America, you start to see where the kids who stayed are starting to get it, and they're starting to connect appreciate
this quality education.
The schooling. Yes.
Yeah. Now there are a few. When did Dead Poets Society come out? Because there was just a few moments where I'm like, I just feel some strong homages to Dead Poets Society.
89.
89? Oh yeah. So
yes,
this is 10 years later. Yeah, this just has a few moments. Like we go to the award cabinet to have a deep sentimental learning moment. Epic speeches from the teachers. It's out of prep school. There's just kind of enough little nods there where I'm like, it's not a bad thing. I love Dead Poets Society, but so.
The last little nugget I enjoyed here before we go into our fruit snack rating of this film is where he turns to the coach or somebody and says, "You've never heard of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks? They named a pro team after us."
Yes. And they brought in the captain to like
Yes.
mid-game interview or whatever.
Yeah, he was struggling. He was he was struggling hard for that one scene that
he's like, "Why did my agent make me do this?"
But they basically did. They created a team because of now having this franchise. This video franchise that then
does Disney still own that sports team?
No, they don't. They sold it. The Angels as well. They sold them as well. So.
Okay. Oh goodness. Well, so it's come to that moment where we must rate out of 5 fruit snacks. I can't remember. Do you remember our ratings for the other?
I did not rate the second one quite as well as the first one for me.
If memory serves me correct, you said that you liked the first one better than the second. I said
you like the second one better.
I like the second better than the first. So would it be easier to... I feel like we should do 2 things. Let's give it a fruit snack rating, but then let's also, since we're at the end of the trilogy, let's give a quick brief, here's our ranking of the 3. Does that sound good to you?
Okay.
Good? All right. How many fruit snacks? You're going to go back and watch the prank sequences. Your son's going to get to that age, you know.
He's going to love those moments. I'm going to go with a hearty.
So this is like Welch's fruit snacks.
These are not Costco
This is
brand.
not great.
This is
not great value brand fruit snacks. This is Welch's mixed berry.
It's actually been a while since we've done actually gummy worms instead of fruit snacks. But no, this isn't that. I would go with. I'm going to go with 4.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with 4, partially because it's been a while since we've had a good one. But yes. I'm gonna go with 4 because it hit all the boxes that I wanted it to do. It didn't knock it out of the park by any means, but it had all of the key moments that I wanted from this franchise. And they it's like they knew it. Yeah. And they were like, "We know you want a prank right here. Here you go. Here's a little taste."
It's the formula. It's the sum of the parts.
We've had a whole thing without Emilio Estevez bringing back in. Oh, you thought we weren't going to bring back Portman because we alluded to that he stayed in Chicago. Well, guess what? He's coming back in the nick of time.
He is.
So I'm going with 4.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would give it a strong, hearty 4 Welch's mixed berry fruit snacks.
So overall, the whole series,
and I think that's kind of been, if memory, I'm remembering here. Maybe I think we gave all of them 4.
Are you sure we didn't give
maybe
the first one
second,
5?
Well, yeah, we'll put our intern on that, and he'll go.
Intern. Crickets. So for me, if I'm going to rank all these films on my favorite. Which one was my favorite? Still going to go to number 1. I'm probably going to go 3, then 2.
Really?
Go 1, 3, 2. I have some good memories of D3. I think I actually read the book. Like they adapted it into a book, the version of it.
No, they did?
Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was like, you know how they do that where they take the movie and they just make it into a novel form. This is one of the ones that I read, or it was like graphic novel or something. There was something where it wasn't just like a book. It had like pictures and stuff like that. Rented it.
You read something D3.
Read something D3, yes. So I think I have just fonder memories of the third one. The second one, some of the things, just like the way they took Bombay's character kind of off the path a little bit. His whole sandal or shoe line that he was trying to coach's shoe line that he was trying to do. The weird other coach. I don't think I just didn't connect as much to the second one, but I know that we were opposites on that. So Eddie, how do you rank these?
Yeah, I give this D2 number 1. I give D1 number 2, and I give D3 number 3.
Why so low on D3?
D2 is my favorite. That was the one we watched easily the most growing up.
Okay. It's the Olympics too.
It's the Olympics.
You do love the Olympics. Yeah, that gives
love
you
the Olympics. So that added to it. I liked the antics and the jokes of the second one. The first one, it's the first one, right? Like it is the original story. It's the magic. Yeah. And then the third one, nothing against it. It's probably like a close after that. To me, the first half, I'm just not buying into it as much.
Okay.
Then you bring back Bombay, and I remember that even as I was watching this time, like, boom, yes, I needed some more Bombay in this. So maybe that's where it is. I don't know, but yeah, I would say D3 is number 3.
That's okay. It's okay. Well, that is the end of the Mighty Ducks series until we do Game Changers season 2, if we ever do that. I don't know if we will. I don't know if we'll take time out of our day to talk about that. But
as JB likes to say, it's our podcast. We make up the rules.
We make up all the rules. So that's it for this episode. We do have we have one more film in 1996 coming next week. That is 101 Dalmatians, the live action version. I think this is the first one we've done that had a live action version and an animated one that we covered both of them. Did we cover 101 Dalmatians, or was that too much older? Okay, too much older.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay. I'm sure there's been some other live action thing that we've covered that was like an adaptation, but anyways. So that's coming next week. Please go to honeywemade.com and /movies, and you can see all the movies we have coming up in order from 1988 to 2005. Had to think about doing math in my head right there as we just go back through all the movies we grew up with. So thanks for listening to another episode.